Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Big Ranker here for my NBA 2016-17 update. So I'm looking at the position between playoffs round 1 and 2. But let's recap what my strategy has been for this season. So I've been ranking all 30 teams after every match once per week. So about Thursday in Australian time, I am starting my betting. So I bet 8 units, or roughly 4 per conference. I'll be betting in the NBA championship market, so that's who will actually win, who will be the final team to hold the trophy. And I bet my top 2 to 4 ranked teams per conference. So that means every Thursday I've got 8 units, I look at my ranks, and based on the teams, the odds and the availability and where the ranks put them, I'm picking a couple of teams from either conference that get a bet on. So now let's look at the ranks, because this obviously defines who I bet on. So this is the regular season ranks. So this is the whole season up until day before playoffs. And it's a mess. You can't really view daily ranks of 30 teams in any graph and make any sense from it. So one way to try to make that better is I use a rolling average. So I take a 7-day average of the team's ranks. This reduces a bit of the noise and flattens out the ranks to give me still a good indication of where they're going and where the teams are trending, but hopefully not as noisy. And you can see it does work, kind of, but you can't get much value from it. So what I do, I thought I'd show, this is the subset of that, which is the 16 teams that actually made the playoffs. And it's still pretty noisy and pretty hard to get a view on. There's some things you can note there are that Golden State are that top team. They've been dominating and they finished the season fairly significantly above everyone else. Surprisingly to most people, I guess, is that Utah kind of actually finished second ranked. And then there's a big bunch of teams in there. It's still pretty noisy. So we'll take another view, final chance. We'll look at the remaining 8 teams after the round 1 playoffs have all been sorted. So 8 teams remain now, and here they are. So the things I like about looking at this, once again, Golden State are fairly big favourites over the second team, which is Utah, which is who they're actually going to play in the playoff round 2. So I guess you could say that Utah were the most likely to knock them off. Utah only just snuck in against the Clippers, so who knows? I'll just reiterate, this is regular season only, so this doesn't include the last form lines from their first round finals playoffs. The other thing to note there is the third team is actually Washington, and then there's 4 teams coming in. There's a big bunch of them, really. Let's have a look. So here you've got Washington, and then you've got Houston, Spurs, Raptors, and Cavs. So they're all, chances, but it's hard. The ranks didn't see that anyone was really finishing the season that strong. I guess the Cavs came up a fair bit from this low point here right towards the end, so maybe they were trending in the right direction, and maybe they'd been taking it easy for the last bit of the season. The interesting one there is that Boston finished lowest of the remaining 8 teams, even though they finished first in their conference. So yeah, this is how the ranks work. It's pretty interesting. It's not an exact science. It's not going to give you the best teams, and the ranks are more of a recentish form. So that's why, even though Boston did finish first, you can see from a high point here, they actually went right down. So because they did not finish the season very strongly, they're ranked a bit lower. All right, so that's the ranks. So that kind of gives an indication of how that works. So let's have a look at the actual playoff bracket. And I've taken this screenshot. I actually took it before Utah won their 4th game against the Clippers over here. So it says 3-3, but I've gone and pasted the Jazz over there into the second bracket. So here we've got Golden State through to play Utah, Rockets through to play the Spurs, Boston playing Washington, and Toronto playing Cleveland in East. And what I'm going to put now is my potential profit and loss. So this is based on that strategy of every week betting my top 2 to 4 in the conference, in each conference, Western and Eastern, based on my ranks. And some interesting things here, you can see that the top 2 teams Golden State, I'm going to lose. If they go on to win, I lose $330. And Cleveland, if they go on to win, I lose $281. And this was because, as I've said all season, I've been betting Golden State every single round, every single week. But they started the season at $1.90. There was just no value despite betting on them every single week. I could have looked to up the units on that, but then that means I wouldn't have had many units to spread amongst the rest of the teams in the Western Conference. So the result here is that the two favorite teams, and these favorites account for roughly 85% of the probability to win the actual playoffs according to the current betting market, I'm going to lose, which is, if they win, I'm losing. It's disappointing. But the good ones are these ones here where I got good value on, say, Boston and Washington. So I'm guaranteed to have at least a big green figure reaching the final playoffs in the East. And same again with Houston and the Spurs over in the West. So it's an interesting theory. So I've got great potential to make a lot of money based on my initial stake, but the probability indicates I'm actually way more likely to lose some money. So what now? What do I do? Well, the worst case is if Golden State meet Cleveland in the finals, guaranteed to lose money, guaranteed to lose about 50% of my whole season stake. The best case is if Utah meet Washington. Now that, you just say that and most basketball people are going to tell me that's a crazy result and probably won't happen, and I understand. Golden State and Cleveland are hot favorites. I just need one of those teams to not make it would be great. Both don't make it, I'm pretty happy. So then I've got some trade out options to try to mitigate that risk. I could start backing Golden State and Cleveland to win their individual games, and that would reduce the green up figures on their opponents in the East and West conferences, but it would mitigate the risk of the two favorites meeting in the playoffs. Likewise, I could do the same for them to just win their series. So instead of backing in the individual games, assume that Golden State and Cleveland will win these round 2 series. So start betting on them as that happens. Once again, it's kind of reducing my potential profit on the other teams, but hedging my risk against the favorites getting through. And my third option is to pray. Pray that there's an upset or two, and hope that my outsiders scrape through. But I'm not sure. I'm going to watch the first game or two and see how we go. This has always been a test. My NBA first season really ranking and betting it, so I'm learning a lot as we go. That's the end. So that's an update on how a system's going. NBA system, let me know what you thought about it. It's been a fun ride this season, and I'm really interested in the playoffs now because of this. I previously haven't been. Hope you guys are interested. I hope you guys are having some luck as well. Let me know how you're going. Leave some comments. And then otherwise, until next time, good luck.